Now, why would I call anybody on this planet dumb? Because I'm insecure, so I'm kind of afraid of humans, and so I like to categorize people into kind of my type of people who might connect with me, who might make me feel secure, and then people I'm afraid of. So basically people I call dumb, they're just people that I'm afraid of because I cannot really sense what they're like, or I think that on a deeper level we will not connect and that they will judge me and that I will feel judged and that afterwards I will feel horrible about myself. That is based on a lot of interactions I had in early childhood where people were just horrendous. I don't really mention my insecurity or my shame or my fear of rejection. I just mention, oh, they are dumb, you know, they are just weird. And obviously kind of talking about people that way has an aspect of, okay, I'm putting myself above them. And so that's why I tried this experiment to talk to people whom I wouldn't have talked to before. It also has a kind of efficiency aspect, I like to tell myself. You see, I'm looking for new friends because some of my friendships have changed, and also I love new encounters. But I am so scared of kind of getting rejected and of spending a lot of time around the wrong people who will harm my mental health. And so that's why I tell myself I'm just efficient by filtering the people based on their outer experience. So basically, I'm walking through a giant bookstore and I'm judging the books by their covers. Was that cringe? Maybe it was. I am kind of a cringe person, and sometimes people don't understand that. But I do think that you can learn from every single interaction, even if the people are quote-unquote dumb. So the first thing that I did, there's this, now I need to kind of change the situation to make it not recognizable to when the person is watching this. But even, you know, if you're watching this and I'm talking about you, I very well could be. It has nothing to do with you, just a lot with me. So this is a middle-aged man. I mean, not middle-aged, he's 25 and he goes to my uni, med school, and we do have one class in common where we always walk together, and usually it's a group of 3 people, and so I have kind of a buffer, whatever, like the third person in our group, because it's a girl and the girl gets along with the guy as well, so she's kind of connecting us. And I'm terrified of being alone with him because he oftentimes makes fart jokes and I feel very awkward around that, and he also acts different around different people, which to me is kind of suspicious, you know. I'm anxious about that. I mean, do I act differently around different people? Kinda, but kinda also not. So I'm kind of suspicious of that. You see, I'm just scared of people, and that's why I get the ick from people I'm not even dating. I get the ick a lot. And so I ended up talking to him and walking with him to this kind of cafe where we usually hang out, the 3 of us. But now the girl was gone, and I'm like, oh my god. But this guy, actually, I kind of asked the right questions, or he gave the right answers, or whatever. It's interesting because he seemed kind of anxious to talk to me too, like one-on-one. I mean, maybe that's my interpretation of things. But I actually learned a lot about Chinese New Year because he's Chinese and he taught me a lot of stuff about that, which was so interesting. You see, you can ask the right questions or have the right topic of conversation or just walk silently along each other. It's cool. And sometimes, you know, I used to want to do this thing where I would start the interaction and where I would control it, but it's actually fun to see what other people do. So I just for a minute walked silently behind this guy, and then he started talking about the weather, which is so typical, honestly. And I was like, talking about the weather, mocking him to kind of heighten my self-esteem, which is maybe a bit weird. So I kind of pushed that thought away and was like talking to him about the weather and then about New Year's Eve. So then that's how I learned a lot of new stuff. And next interaction took place with my best friend's housemates. So my best friend wasn't home yet, and so we hung out downstairs, and she lives in a student accommodation, and there was a couple of people hanging out, and I knew them kind of through her, but I still approached them and was like, oh, hi. And actually they made kind of weird jokes. You see, so they were talking about romance, but kind of joking about it, jokingly flirting with each other. And they also said or explained to me that they're straight, but they still flirted with one another, guys in a friendship, and they even kissed one another to prove to me that that's what they do. And it was a bit performative, but I still went along on the joke, and it was funny. Like, it was such an absurd situation. Oftentimes absurd situations, that's where you feel most included, because they just create this gigantic moment. And you really show how weird you are, because that was just them being open about what they do. And I don't really, I don't judge. And that's what I've learned from this as well, is that I will just, observe people in a creepy way. The other situation was with two guys at my med school who seem very ambitious. They're the type of people, they're wearing glasses, they are always with their heads in the books. They literally carry books around when nobody else is anymore, because the internet. But they seem very smart, and I think a lot of people are afraid of them. Maybe me too, because I cannot really say what they're like. And usually I'm afraid of people who dedicate their whole life to medical school, because I kind of oftentimes feel like I have to make a point to separate my identity from med school. You see, so I fulfill myself? Yeah, I try and fill my identity with a lot of hobbies, so that I feel as though I'm myself, even especially if I'm not at uni. Like, whether that's because I'm mentally ill or because I'm on holiday, it's just so that I always have my identity with me. So that's why I'm scared of being around people who are different, because I'm scared that they will make me different. As if people can change you just with the bat of an eye, or with a what's that called in English? With the snipping of your fingers? That sounds very fucking wrong. But then I ended up talking to them. The situation was quite funny, because I was sleeping when they arrived. I was sleeping at the library, and then they arrived, and I was like, put my head up and was like, oh, hi. And afterwards we went to get food, and they went to this fancy restaurant thing where all the doctors eat. And I was like, oh my god, and then I was in research mode. I sometimes tell myself that it's research mode whenever I'm talking to people that I don't really 100% click with, because then I still get to find out things about them and about how they interact between themselves. And it was actually quite a cool friendship that they had there. I thought, oh my god, yeah, it's just gonna be a superficial kind of friendship where they spew medical facts at one another. But it's actually a kind of cute friendship where they made jokes, like affectionate jokes, with one another too. And I was pleasantly surprised. What else? Oh god. No, the thing is, sometimes I blurt out things, like literally just say stuff. And I once did this in a conversation with med students as well, and those were really motivated, as in they had started on their thesis already, which is very fucking early for the third semester. But yeah, and so they kind of had this image of themselves. They portrayed themselves in a very cool way. And I think they expressively, they wanted it to be perceived that way subconsciously, because maybe they're insecure. I mean, everybody's insecure, and it's normal. I often like analyzing people. And so then they were talking about depression, and then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna say, oh yeah, I was diagnosed with depression. But they didn't really, some people are just not that open to talking about mental illnesses. So he was kind of avoiding this by complaining about how boring the diagnosis of depression is. You're not doing any medical things. You're not actually scanning the body. You cannot do anything. It's so lame. And I was like, huh. Now that is kind of rude, and it did infuriate me for some time, because he just completely ignored what I had said. But I kind of did say it provocatively, to see how he reacts. And so that was interesting. And I let go of that anger. It has taught me that it doesn't serve me anything if I'm outwardly angry at this guy. You know, I could do a voodoo ritual, or I could do several rituals, or think about him, or talk about him to my friends. Now I'm just like, okay, this person is doing their own thing. I pigeonholed them as dumb anyway. I mean, I've tried it out once, and they do not seem like a pleasant person to be around, so I will not be around them. That's just the way it is, and it's fun to be around dumb people. I'm a dumb person as well. I'm so dumb! Now, I love dumb people, and I also find it interesting how we kind of think, oh my god, this person is dumb. But really it means more about ourselves than it means about the other person. Okay, that was it. I love you guys so much. Let me give you a hug and a kiss. Mwah. Do you like the kiss or do you find it creepy? Anyway, bye.